Hey loves, thanks for coming by. Now we are going to do our best to go ahead and do a final thoughts on putaringonit. I'm going to share with you some things that I had some notes for the past few weeks. I know the show has already come to an end. Season 3, putaringonit on TV. We are talking about it. We've been talking about it here on More Tea with Dee. And we're about to move on to a brand new show, brand new talk. So I wanted to go ahead and wrap it up. I was in Denver the last time I talked to you guys. I'm here in Austin, Texas. So I wanted to go ahead and wrap it up and give you my thoughts. So I'll come back. We're going to talk about my thoughts on how it ended, the reunion, and all those great things. Thank you for following. If you're listening via the link, I appreciate you. Make sure that you share it out. Share the tweet. Share the Facebook post. I appreciate you. And for anyone new, follow me on social media. I am Dee Shields is the handle. All right, I'm going to get back to you guys and we're going to wrap it up.
Yeah, I don't wanna slow down, I don't wanna slow down, I don't wanna slow down till I burn out. I just wanna live fast, I don't wanna look back and say I could've done more than I did now. Sometimes it can be hard, yeah, it can be hard, yeah, it can be hard when you grow up. People fill you with doubt, you start thinking about what you're gonna do now. But we only got one chance and got one life to live. And it's do or die, gotta make it count. So lose your worries, let your problems go on until my whole body burns out. I ain't never gonna slow down. I ain't never gonna slow down. I ain't never gonna slow down. I don't wanna waste time, I don't wanna waste time, I don't wanna waste time on fake friends. I just wanna get high, I just wanna get high, I just wanna get higher. Sometimes people will try to hold you back from being who you want to. Don't be questioning why, do whatever feels right, find your passion and fight. Cause we only got one chance and got one life to live. And it's do or die, gotta make it count. So lose your worries, let your problems go on.
Thanks, loves. Now, the music is brought to you from Epidemic Sound. So thank you so much, Epidemic Sound. Love the artists that are on there. And look, let's go ahead and get into it. We're talking about the final couple of episodes, and then we're going to talk about the reunion. Ep 6 was Family Matters. All right, so here are my thoughts that I had on that. Charlie and Otis. So Charlie was insisting on leaving. Remember that? And he was, and she was very upset about the DM conversation that he was having, that Otis was having. And she was like, okay, you know what? I'm up and I'm out of here. So disrespectful for you to come and try to, like, why didn't you tell me this before that you were having a DM conversation? But again, I just always feel like Otis likes to dig at her and, try to get her going, and it always works, so to speak. So, she says she's embarrassed and she's just overdoing this whole put a ring on it process with Otis at that moment. Like, she is not happy. You've been sitting up here. What's the girl, like a DJ or a nightclub host or something like that? And he was really feeling her, and then here you go and you're DMing her. And I think that it was a move that definitely Otis tried to do on purpose. You're going to see later how that unfolded. That moment comes back and hits the couple for sure. Alfonso and Shay on this Family Matters. Dr. Nicole explains that the spouse and girlfriend comment, and Shay stands by this almost to the end, all the way through to the reunion, on the fact that even though they're not married, she can call him spouse, right? So Dr. Nicole is explaining spouse and girlfriend are not the same thing at all, and she tells her that reality has her acting out of position. That was powerful. That was powerful. You need to write that down, especially for anybody that you know that was for you, right? The reality has her acting out of position. A lot of times in my personal, let's just start in personal, I usually don't do this here. If you want to hear more about my other thoughts or relationships, you'll usually go over to I Am Dee Shields, the podcast. But look, let me just say this here on More Tea with Dee. I can relate to this moment of what Dr. Nicole is saying, that there's a big difference, because I often have to correct people in my relationship, right? So I'm engaged and people always try to jump ahead and call him my husband. I am not married. I am a widow. I have my own path, my own journey, and my guy has his own path and his own journey. And too often people try to lump that and move that along faster than it needs to be moved, and it could confuse things. So I like what she said, that you're acting out of position. Write that down. So Dr. Nicole tells the couple that they use laughter a lot, like a little bit too much as a distraction, and it can turn into defensive really quickly. Like they're joking around and playing around and acting like nothing's wrong, but in all reality, it is hitting and it is hurting. And some of the things that are being said in a playful way are really like digs at each other, and that needs work, right? That's definitely couples counseling, couples therapy needs to happen right there. Even with what I see, Shay and Alfonso do it, but Charlie and Otis do that also, like that petty back and forth. That needs counseling, because when it gets ugly, like Dr. Nicole was saying, it could get really ugly, right? All right. I'm sorry, let me go back to my notes here. I had to catch back up with where I was. So that could get really nasty, right? Now, Kenneth and Shorty tells Dr. Nicole a more attractive woman is going to be needed for Kenneth to really get into this process. And I thought that stood out. I think I had to agree with her, even though I don't really know them. But it's just so much swept under the rug with those two. Like something really deep and painful and hurtful is going on with Kenneth and Shorty. And but she tells Dr. Nicole, no, you're going to have to use a more attractive woman if you expect him to really fully participate in this put a ring on it experience, and really get the real experiment in place for her to see whether or not I will say yes or I will say no if he asks me to marry him, right? She said, this is not about finding you a new boo, okay? She said, it's going to make you uncomfortable and make you see what you are doing or should be doing with your current person. That's what this is about. So it's not, I like that feedback from Dr. Nicole. Like, this is not about who's cute and who isn't cute. I have to wake them up to what this process is about. So the end of the session that happened in that episode 6, Family Matters, after talk session with Dr. Nicole, Charlie took off. She was gone. She was still really pissed at Otis about that DM. And I think that was the shocker for that whole session, right? The DMing thing was just out of line. So they go and have these talks with their family. That's the assignment. That's the homework that they're sent to do. Otis, he's talking to his dad about marriage, and dad says, he said this, and I wrote this down because I thought this was more powerful. We always respected each other, about Otis's mom. We always respected each other. The issues didn't get bigger than who we were as a couple. And then never add fuel to the fire. So that's something to definitely write down if you're going through and you're thinking about your relationship in comparison to these 3 couples. That was powerful from from Otis' dad. He said, we always respected each other. The issues didn't get bigger than who we were as a couple. Never add fuel to the fire, which we do see his son guilty of a lot. Kenneth and Shorty have tense breakfast argument after that session, earlier with Dr. Nicole. And the next day they're in this breakfast argument, and she says Kenneth doesn't bring to the table what he expects from women on her level. So, again, shooting him down. The words get heated and Kenneth puts her down for choosing him, starts saying like really nasty Louisiana related type nasty words. You know how they get really heated. For those of you who have dated yourself a Louisiana guy or a Louisiana woman, you know what we're talking about, right? So Charlie and Otis talk before the date, and it's obvious that Otis is not sincere in his apology. She's still upset over the DM and is showing, and she's just like not receiving what he's bringing. In his apology, he's still being petty, sarcastic, so to speak. These sarcastic tones are not working for this couple. Like, it's making things go the opposite direction of what the experiment should be doing, right? And more family matters, Shay meets with her mom and her aunt. And some of the things that I wrote down, mom tells her to lay out to Fonzo what she wants. Tells Shay, tell Fonzo what you want. And then her aunt says, love cannot fix what women choose to just tolerate. She says, don't waste your time if he is not fulfilling what you want. And then Shay goes on back to say her family really helped her see what she needed to do. She tells the audience her family is helping her see that she needs to leave. We didn't see that coming. We'll be back.
Bad little flex, she wanna know me. I stay low key, all gas, no brakes, baby, let them hoes sleep. Body on 10, make your girl OD. I get in my way, never out of my lane. Feel like you the one and I'm on one. So what it's gonna be? Baby, squad up, we finna go deep. Riding on a team, got what you need. Baby, won't you keep me company? Give me something to do when I get lonely. I got something for you when we get home. If you let me put it down, when I hit the town, you should ride on me. Keep your minds on me. On try, baby, I think you should side with me. Stay solid one time if you lie with me. Just promise you never lie to me. Keep the moves on tuck. I know it's all love. Everything good. Keep the vibes on crush. I know it's all good. Know it's all love. Know it's all love. I've been feeling like the motherfucking man lately. Can't nobody do it like I can daily. Baddest in the lattice
Now
in the
look,
land.
I love how we get on to the dates, and Charlie goes out with her date and she's having a really great time. Like, she's really feeling this dude, and you can see the compatible going on. You can see that the couple has chemistry and she's happy. She's smiling really easily. There's no tension. I'm not sure if we were able to see the real Charlie, or do we see the real Charlie with Otis? Like, it's really hard to figure out, like, which one is her. And, but she was just really kind of just hair let down free in that moment. And, maybe that's the Charlie that Otis met in the beginning, right? Just our opinion. Who knows? Kenneth and Shorty, they're on a date. Shorty is no longer fallen for his charm, and she's just kind of over. Their chemistry is non-existent. You can just start to really see it as the show goes on, and it shows like the chemistry is just gone, right? Kenneth tells her, let's table this for Dr. Nicole after the tension and after the argument, right? But then Shorty responds with, Dr. Nicole is not going to live with us forever. Exactly. They need to figure out how to work that out, because they're not going to be able to have counseling session every time they go through. That's not going to be, that would not be a future, right? So Kenneth tells Shorty he can't take her putting him down anymore. I agree. Shorty kind of lays it on thick with the put downs and the emasculation, right? And he says it's crushing his soul. Shorty rightfully replies, if you're tired of this, you can go. Paraphrase, kind of. She's like, you're out. You don't like what I bring to the table. She's really over him. You can really see that she's over him. So anyway, moving forward, Charlie meets up with Otis and they talk it out. They have a lot of barriers still up, and they walk away with an understanding that at that point they felt like, it just seemed like there's just something there, and they have a lot that they need to work out, right? So let's go ahead and go to the reunion, right? So we're going to go ahead and wrap it up with talking about the reunion episode. This conversation would go a lot longer if I had someone sitting in the studio with me, but I'm just kind of wrapping it up with the notes here because I am alone. So episode 8, Shay is relaxing more to trust Alfonso with the dating process, right? A beautiful date. I'm sorry, we're almost to read. So she has a really beautiful date arrive, and she's definitely a test for Fonzo. Like, I really like how casting or whoever it was knew how to really bring it for us to be able to see who is this Fonzo that Shay deals with, right? He admits in that date, like, he was really feeling this girl, and she's laying on thick, and he admits that he's only trying to live. That's the only reason why he's acting right on the date. Not necessarily that he wants to do right by Shay. So that stood out to me. But he's like, I'm just trying to live. And that's the reason why I'm not disrespecting or touching the date as the date has requested. Or going too hard with the desire. So I found that to be interesting, right? Dr. Nicole gave Otis and Charlie an assignment to write down their needs. Immediately as they're doing this and Charlie is sharing needs with Otis gets real petty and defensive in responding to what Charlie is laying out and what she's sharing on her list. I felt like that was problematic because those lists can be really good for conversation and dialogue with a couple. So I thought that was really going to be problematic for the marriage or the relationship. It turns again into a little tit-for-tat conversation versus the homework that was assigned as to be expected when people resist the process, right? And then Shorty is on a date, and she goes on a date number 3 with Tavi, really feeling Tavi. Chemistry is definitely in the salsa lessons class, and again, we see good chemistry with those two. Is that more Shorty's type, and what is she attracted to? I really felt like it was his stability, his financial stability, because in the emasculation of Kenneth that she constantly does, she kind of lays it on thick about that being her bigger, requirement. So I think that's what she likes about Tavi. Shay gets another date, and this time we wanted, we were hoping that it wouldn't interrupt with any drama, and it did not. It went really well. DJ Silva is a perfect match for Shay. He was on point regarding how to blend the baby mama and the girl in your life. Definitely says something that she hasn't seen, because Fonzo messed up really bad by trying to keep Shay a secret from baby mama and still dealing with baby mama and not telling his mom because mom prefers baby mama. So, the dates bring it to more food for thought for Shay, right? So the couples go on. Shay goes on to a session with Dr. Nicole. Dr. Nicole is telling Shay the truth about not being able to see what Fonzo is capable of out on the dates with Shay is if she's always managing beforehand, right? I have a topic coming up regarding that. Like, don't try to stop the process. It's a topic I have coming up. So I really felt where she was coming from with that. She tells Shorty and Kenneth that they are going back and forth over branches and have yet to solidify the roots in that relationship. And that is the truth when it comes to Shorty and Kenneth. The couples go on dates with those from the previous dates, and the chemistry is continuing to happen between several people on those dates. And now the time comes to where they have to get ready to do final dates and get ready to make a decision. Are they going to put a ring on it? Which is what this whole process has been about. Kenneth and Shorty. Look, in his drunken explosion, he gets really drunk and nasty in this episode. Mean words are said. He is pissing Shorty off, and I'm telling you, it gets real ugly. Producers even have to come in like, dude, stop. He called her ugly. He called her fake. She has done a lot of name calling prior to his outburst, but he had to get really, really drunk to let it out. Liquid courage, is that what Shorty kept calling it? It was toxic, and he walks out the door with his bags, and we had to agree with that episode. Like, it was toxic, it was hell. So it was definitely time. It was what we saw from the beginning. It was time to put an end to Kenneth and Shorty, right? So we go on and we moved on to the reunions. We're going to go ahead and take another little break, and then we'll come back. We're going to talk reunion.
So you need a little break, huh? Boy, say you need a little space, yeah. Boy, is it 'cause you can't be faithful? Boy, hope she's cool. unlike you. You ain't ready for a girlfriend, no, cause you think I'll steal your weekends, no, so you make up shitty reasons for, want it out. See, I'm not even mad, boy, but I'm confused. Shouldn't you be keeping me at 10 when you're 2? I can't help but feel sympathetic, I do. You think you're bad, boy, but I feel bad for you. Think you're bad, boy, think you're bad, boy, think you're bad, but I feel bad for you. I'm not even mad, I'm not even mad, I'm not mad, I just feel bad for you. I was pretty when I met you, now I'm prettier than ever, took a second to forget you, boy, only one. If you wanted to hurt me, well, you failed big time, cause I knew you would panic and run. I won't chase you, baby, I'm too good without. If you think that I'm crying, you're wrong. I'm not even mad, boy, but I'm confused. Shouldn't you be keeping me at 10 when you're 2?
Look, speaking of confused, we were so confused when the reunion opens up. So you guys have already seen the reunion. You know, we're talking Put a Ring on It. Season 3, we're wrapping it up with my final thoughts. The pregnancy was a shocker for me. I didn't see that coming. The pregnancy definitely was a shocker for me. I did not see that coming. I will tell you that. So Charlie comes out with a pregnant belly. Shay and Fonzo, they share that they split. They split up, even though he did propose, remember, at the end of the season. But they ended up splitting up for months after the engagement due to Fonzo transparency about the infidelity. Also, who else proposed at the end of the season? Otis did propose to Charlie at the end of that episode. So the episode ends and they decide to put a ring on it. Otis and Fonzo decided to put a ring on it. Kenneth did not, walked away, and Shorty would not have accepted it after that explosive fight anyway. But Shay and Fonzo then come to the reunion and say that they split for months after the engagement due to Fonzo transparency about infidelity early on. We do see some clips of Fonzo kind of working it out and in that last episode and having a conversation with the baby mama and trying to get things all straight. You could hear the strain and the tension and the hurt in the baby mama's voice with that. So not really a shock that they split and they didn't go right into matrimony. I do love his proposal. Fonzo's proposal was everything. Not sure how they're going to be able to top that with the wedding, but I do hope that they get their own show so we can kind of see how that's a couple that you could see them having their own show and following it. I really would love to follow them and hopefully have Otis and Charlie on there every once in a while so we can see how theirs continues. But definitely Shay and Fonzo are going to be constantly ones to watch. Give you a lot of love and hip hop vibes. So, of course, it was about infidelity that happened early on in their relationship. I love that Fonzo becomes vulnerable and that he's willing to do the therapy and do the work and put in the time and try to fix this awful wrong that has happened at the start of their relationship. Now, Shay and Fonzo dates did come to the reunion. They come to the green room. Shay, says her piece. And, there was a lot of tension that happened on some of the dates. So, the couple of people you'll see when you watch the reunion, the surprising hookups that happened also. So, people that were on dates with some of the couples ended up getting to know each other personally. Thought that was interesting. Charlie gets a shocker at the reunion as Milan decides to tell her, remember Mr. all up in Otis' DMs, or Otis was all up in her DM, or vice versa. She brings receipts, not just a DM. There are texts. She brings those receipts. Charlie is really defensive. She's pregnant, of course, so she's defensive. I think she's 7 months pregnant at the reunion. Milan is adamant to tell Charlie about what's going on, though. I know you're pregnant, but you need to know he was all up in my DMs. He was texting me and just trying to tell her Otis was sneaking to try to get at me behind your back behind this experiment. So it was tense. And Charlie just kind of stood by her marriage and stood by her man. Otis covers it up with our love is good and that chick lying kind of move. So, not sure if he put a ring on it just because he finds out that they later share with us. They found out while filming that Charlie was pregnant. So, not sure if he really put a ring on it because of that or the pregnancy or because he's really ready. Because the DM and the texting and the receipts is messy. Now, Kenneth shows to the reunion and he brings receipts and a whole lot of passion and anger. The host definitely tried to calm that down, but he was just really upset. And he talks about the things that you guys don't know about Shorty. She says she's died. Shorty reveals that she was done before she even came on the show, which is kind of confusing because it's like, was it a clout chase? Like, why exactly did you come on this show? If this wasn't a real experiment that you were going to have a fair ending, like she jacked up the experiment because she already knew she was over Kenneth, So, not sure what her reason was for coming on. And Kenneth naturally feels used and abused about that information, The host, Egypt, she intervenes for Shorty to check Kenneth, because he has a lot of verbal abuse, a lot of hurt, a lot of anger. He really had it in for this chick that had it all together with a high-rise apartment, and he didn't win her, and so he's really kind of upset, But Egypt says you need to move on, leave Shorty alone. It's kind of turning into nasty, sick harassment, stalker, right? Tavi in Hollywood and Maisha. Maisha speaks well of willingness to see Kenneth grow before giving him a chance in the future, but she does say that she was feeling Kenneth, and I think Maisha would be a good, necessary, calm, and reality check for Kenneth. So I see them as a good couple, and she was one of the dates, but I like how she says, I need to see him grow before we can make this a thing, staying in the position that it is. We keep talking about that, ladies. And she said he needs guidance. And I think that she would be good guidance, but he does need that outside guidance before he could be in the relationship with Maisha, for sure. Get that help, Kenneth. We're going to laugh at Kenneth in a minute. Dr. Nicole ends the reunion with this words, and I think this is really good. I wrote down what she said. Objective for every relationship is to be in peace, not in pieces. Write that down. The objective for every relationship is to be in peace, not in pieces. If you end in pieces, you will take those broken pieces into the next connection. Very important. All right, so then Kenneth ended the reunion, you guys, with some laughter because he shared that his next hustle of so many, we did understand you, Shorty, on that. His next hustle coming up is, I think it was going to be a restaurant or something, but anyway, Candy Lady Baby Generation. That's just, it's a lot. Maybe Candy Lady, Candy Baby, Baby Generation, I don't know. Just a lot, but we were laughing at that. Puerto Rico in season 3, it was good. It lacked a lot of dialogue on Twitter. I didn't see as much participation. I don't know. I think that the producers that put a ring on it maybe might have to start doing some of the more, how the trendier shows that we're watching with the pods, and then, I compared the show often with the Ultimatum, so maybe just kind of pick up on some of the things that the Ultimatum did in there to kind of pick it up a little bit to win the audience. This was one that I felt it took a while to get engagement from Twitter, unlike some of the other shows that are out there that we watch. Thanks, you guys, for coming by. I am your host, Dee Shields. We're wrapping up All Talks on Put a Ring on It, Season 3. Thank you all for stopping by, and continue to share. More Tea with Dee. We'll be bringing something new soon.
I can't help but feel sympathetic, I do. You think you're better